Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Ask the Expert webinar on a Friday afternoon. And I'm your host for today. My name is SJ, and hopefully we're all ready to wind down for the weekend. But before then, and before we get started, I'd just like to briefly introduce our organizers for today. And so please get your phones out and be ready to scan and follow if you are interested. So firstly is Shen Academic Consulting. This webinar is hosted by my company, and we provide personalized academic and career guidance, including interview and resume mentoring, presentation skills, manuscript editing, and interactive workshops and lectures such as this. And this is the inaugural webinar. And we have distinguished academics and work with both Chinese and Australian networks. Ask the Expert is also presented in partnership with ACASE, which is a not-for-profit organization supporting Australian startups through technology commercialization and Asia-Pacific innovation partnerships. And ACASE provides tailored programs such as Nexus, Nexstar, and Asia Market Sprint to help businesses enter and grow in the Asia Pacific market. So acting as a bridge between Australia and China, and more broadly, the Asia Pacific market. And also in collaboration is with CAPS Australia, which is a not-for-profit organization to support Chinese postgraduate students, young scholars, and visiting scientists in Australia. And their mission, the mission of CAPS, is to build a bilateral bridge for Australia and China, to provide an interactive platform, and also provide an information portal for career development and innovative entrepreneurship. And as you can see, all three of our companies and organizations have huge overlaps, and we all collaborate closely with the goal of supporting future scientists, academics, and entrepreneurs. And finally, we are building a network to help you build the network. So if you have WeChat, please scan to join the WeChat group. And this will be a place to explore, collaborate, and also get updated with future events from all three parties. And so without further ado, it's my delight to be able to introduce our speakers today. And first we have Professor Ying Tan. Professor Ying Tan is a professor of mechanical engineering at the University of Melbourne. She received her bachelor's degree from Tianjin University in China and her PhD from the National University of Singapore in 2002. After a postdoctoral fellowship at McMaster University, she joined the University of Melbourne in 2004. And since then, Professor Tan has received numerous achievements and recognitions, including an Australian postdoctoral fellowship and an ARC Future Fellowship, and currently serves on the ARC College of Experts. Professor Tan is a fellow of IEEE Engineers Australia and the Asia Pacific Artificial Intelligence Association, and was elected Fellow of the Australian Academy of Technology and Engineering in 2025. Her research focuses on data-driven optimization, rehabilitation robotics, human motor learning, wearable sensors, and data-driven learning control. Please welcome Professor Ying Tan. Thank you.
Thank you. When you read my CVs, it feels like I'm so old. Everything starting from 2022. Yeah. So I was invited. It's my pleasure to give a talk here, and I was invited, and without clearly know what's the purpose. I think probably it's basically sharing some experience of my career, and I just share what I have done for last many years. I don't know how many. And you can see Jing is here. She was my PhD student. Now she's been out company. So yeah, she will make more money than me one day. Not now. All right. So how to develop your career? It's a kind of very hard question to answer, and everyone's different. I probably will consider some major decision made during my career path. So this is something about my career path when I worked from different continents, starting from China, and got my PhD in Singapore. And then one of photos here is this one is basically in Singapore, and this one is, of course, you can see Koala is in Australia, and this one is when I was doing my postdoc in Canada. So traveling different part of the world, and also um, and my background is also different. I start from electrical engineering, China, systems engineering, master China, electrical engineering, back to Singapore, electrical engineering Singapore, then going to chemical engineering Canada, and in electrical engineering working for 15 years, now moved to mechanical engineering. So it's very difficult to see which is right one, but it's coming from different engineering discipline. But in common is my background or my area is control area. I can see I'm women in control. So I want to make everything under control. Probably Jing can explain this one as well as a very controlled supervisors. So I think from 1998 when I started to do PhD to 2009, my work is kind of pure theoretical. So what we mean theoretical is basically I was dealing with a particular mathematical proofs demonstrating a particular type of control algorithm that can work for particular type of dynamic system. You can write this dynamic system in differential equation. You can even write down as a partial differential equation, and we show those control algorithm can make it work, and no matter what kind of conditions you have. So one of the area I was working is some called iterative learning control. It's something just like in industry processes, they are repetitive. You try to use the knowledge you learned from last iteration to improve the performance of this current iteration. So, so more than 10 years, 11 years working on equations from linear ordinary differential equation to nonlinear ordinary differential equation to partial differential equation. At one day, I feel like I'm sick of equations, and I'm sick of talking to mathematicians. So in 2006 to 2009, I I was holding Australian postdoc fellowship working on partial differential equations, had a lot of discussions and arguments with mathematicians. And one day I said, enough. I want to work on more applications. So since 2009, we work on more applications. So when you consider iterative learning control, it's just a very simple concept. It's when you repeat tasks, your performance can get better. It's very close related to rehabilitations for people with stroke. So for stroke rehabilitations, what clinicians are doing right now is they hold patient's arm, upper limb, or lower limb. They repeat simple tasks, and by repeating simple tasks, the area, so the stroke basically means part of your brain will be permanently damaged. And by doing rehabilitations, the neighboring area will be reconnected. So rehabilitation is basically trying to teach stroke patients to do tasks by repeating simple tasks many times. And that's why we it's very much linked to iterative learning control, which I know very well. So one of colleagues, Professor Danny Otamo, he was working on rehabilitation robotics. And one day, our dean, Professor Eva Maria, asked me to say, Ying, go to talk to Danny. And he also asked Danny to talk to me. So we worked together on equations because Danny's students was working on equation. He couldn't understand proof, and I want to help. And that's our starting point to work together. So over years, we work together from rehabilitation robotics to prosthetic hand and other robotics applications. We eventually lead to our laboratory, human robotics laboratory in Melbourne University. Currently, we had academic staff 3, me, Danny, and Jonathan Eden. We roughly have 4 postdoc fellows, 20 PhD students, and including 3 spin-out companies funded by our former students, postdoc, including Jing. So this is our laboratory. We are doing a lot of things. I probably will go through things slightly. And this is a cleaning robotic system trying to clean carry back underneath the conveyor belt. So the system is fully designed by ourselves. It's autonomous drive, use LiDAR sensors, IMU sensors, and camera. So this is a task it's doing. It's a clean task, trying to do this, and then trying to put everything back to conveyor belt. We are also doing some multi-agent system. So it's not working. It was working. So basically, this is multi-agent system. You can see this is a simulation, 5 different types of robotic system. They trying to work together to finish a particular task. This is presenting, one of them is leaving. How can we finish task without this robotic system? We also develop this rehabilitation robotic system. And you can see this is our first prototype. It was made by wood. And then this is final commercial product. We did lower limb exoskeleton for spinal cord injury patient. We have, this one is old design. This is homemade design. So that was Vincent and also Justin. They were there trying to test this lower limb exoskeleton. You can see this spinal cord injury patient, they are wearing it, they work, and we provide guidance. We also work on X-Limb, which is prosthetic devices. There are different size of X-Limb. So those things are all homemade. It's 3D printed. We developed the shape of X-Limb. We developed the training algorithm for X-Limb. Jing will talk about this. And we also consider the interfaces control algorithm for those. And we use VR to train prosthetic users. So this is VR we have. So at that time, we don't have many amputees. That's why we use VR to disable people so that in VR, the healthy subject look like an amputee so they can learn some simple tasks. So all those things are done in VR setting. Jing will talk about this more. Recently, we are doing supernumerary limb. What is supernumerary limb? It's basically in the situation that I have 2 hands, I'm typing. I really need my coffee because when I'm reading my students' paper, I'm getting headache. I need my coffee, but my hands are occupied. So I use wearable robotics arm so that when I'm typing, they can serve my coffee. And the last thing, we are doing wearable sensors, and we're trying to measure the muscle information. So we are develop ETA tools for measuring surface EMG signals. So all those things are homemade product, and we're trying to do commercializations, working with students, and we are trying to do different applications. So this one, we currently are working with hospitals for stroke patients, try to detect their spasticity. Okay, that's probably what I talk about my career path. I will pass to Jing to look at her career path.
Thanks very much, Professor Tan. And very interesting talk, a lot of very innovative ideas. And we will leave questions until the end. So I just want to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Jing Mu. Dr. Mu is currently the Chief Research Officer and co-founder of Vertetic, a medtech startup that uses extended reality to support rehabilitation after limb loss. Dr. Mu received her bachelor's degree in automotive engineering from the University of Shanghai for Science and Technology in 2014. Master's of Engineering in Mechatronics in 2017, and her PhD degree from the University of Melbourne in 2023. She then joined the Department of Biomedical Engineering at the University of Melbourne and the ARC Training Centre in Cognitive Computing for Medical Technologies as a research fellow. Dr. Mu has been recognized for her expertise and achievements, having been invited as a keynote speaker at national and international events, including the BCI and Neurotechnology Spring School 2023, and selected as a shortlisted participant for the Asian Deans Forum 2023 in the Rising Stars Women in Engineering workshop. So thank you, Dr. Mu. The stage is all yours.
Thanks, SJ. Share my screen. Cool. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to share my experience with everyone about my career pathway. I have to say my career has been, well, the pathway has been pretty much straightforward, but it might be quite a different one to look at. So first of all, who am I? I think a lot of you have been asked the same question when you were a child. What do you want to become when you grow up? And my answer to that question when I was a kid was, well, I wanted to be a doctor or a teacher or a scientist. Pretty much, I guess it pretty much aligns with a lot of you who are here today. But I would say when I was young, I had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. I really don't know what this kind of career may look like. And I just gave some random answers, and hopefully that satisfies my parents and other people. But as I grew up during my studies, especially in my final year at high school, when I'm trying to decide what I will be studying in my undergrad, I know very clearly that arts is not my thing. I don't like literature, I don't like history, I don't like politics, etc. So that leaves me to science. And I kind of really enjoy all the science concepts because I grew up being very curious about my surroundings. I started to take things apart when I was very young before I know anything about engineering and science. So yeah, science is my thing. I like math, physics, and all those. I enjoy exploring the environment, trying to understand how the world operates. And that leads me to pursuing a degree in engineering. So I got into engineering degrees. And during my studies, I started to become more and more curious about how things work and how we can improve the technology to help more people. And that sends me to becoming a researcher, and that's where I am today. So as you've seen, I am currently serving as a Chief Research Officer at Vertetic. And what is actually my work? So at Vertetic, we are combining immersive technology, including virtual reality and mixed reality, and wearable sensors, as well as data analytics together into one platform, so we can develop immersive and game-based interventions for motor rehabilitation purposes. And at this stage, we are targeting people who have lost a limb or living with limb differences to help them learn to use a prosthesis and have a better quality of life. So the whole project started back in 2016 when we were still doing our PhDs. Back that time, this project was a purely research project. So we were using virtual reality as a tool to help us understand how people move and how to build a better human prosthesis interface. In 2020, things start to change. Well, we all know it's COVID time, but what's more is that if you heard about it, the University of Melbourne was trying really hard to push research translation, and they rolled out a program called Translating Research at Melbourne.
Fun.
And we took the chance to actually start exploring other possibilities beyond pure research. So we participated in the TRAM programs, and with the help of the program in 2021, we founded Vertetic. And we keep pushing during the past few years. And in 2023, we received our first TGA approval. For those of you who doesn't know what TGA refers to, it's a organization. Well, it's a Australian equivalent to FDA, who approves medical technologies to be sold in market. Because we are developing a piece of software that is used for medical purposes. So anything that like before they can be sold on the market, some people need to review the whole thing and approve it. So this is a huge milestone for us. We've got the first TGA approval. That means we can start selling in the market. And the next year, we have secured our first customer. Of course, this was in 2024, and now we are in 26. So what has been progress? We now have 2 products in the market. The first one is a upper limb intervention, which focused on helping people who live with limb loss or limb differences to learn using a smart prosthesis, trying to get them to start doing the exercise as early as possible so they can keep the majority of their muscle capabilities and start learning even before they receive their own prosthesis. And now this product is available in both Australia and Europe. And the second product is a lower limb training, which focused on helping the patients to do more movement exercises, as well as helping them to manage their phantom pain and negative sensations. And what's very exciting is that now that we have the products in the market, we can see it's being used more and more in clinics. And we are currently also pushing for more clinical uptake in both Australia and in Europe. So now time to talk about my role at the company, what I'm actually doing as a Chief Research Officer. As the name suggests, I'm in charge of all the research activities at Vertetic. That includes, a very important part is to generate critical clinical evidence to support our products, including running both cohort studies and case studies to understand the safety, feasibility, and effectiveness of our developed technology. Another part is to expand our business to explore new use cases. This is both in exploring other conditions that we can target within the same user group that we are currently looking at, which is the amputee group, and also to explore new use cases in other user groups, such as stroke rehab, the rehabilitation of people living with incomplete spinal cord injuries, and so on. I'm also supporting the usability studies we are doing throughout our development cycle. We are doing an iterative design in our product development, and it is very important to understand the end users and stakeholders' perspective and feedback when they are trying our products, to make sure our products are safe and easy to use, because our end users are people who live with motor impairments, who are already facing some challenges, and we want to make sure the product is really easy to use and they can use the system themselves. And from a company perspective, my role is very important because it helps the growth of the company. It helps the company to expand its offerings and facilitate collaborations. Now you know where I am at the moment. It's time to look back to my journey and see how that all come together. As I mentioned, it's pretty straightforward. So in a chronological order, this is my career path. So I first jumped into an undergrad degree in automotive engineering, and then I came to Australia to pursue a master's in mechatronics. During that degree, I decided to continue doing a PhD in the similar field. And after my PhD, I went on to become a postdoc. And now I'm working full-time at Vertetic. But actually, this whole Vertetic thing all started from my PhD as well. So I'll talk about this. If you look at the disciplines I'm in, you can probably see it's very different from where I am at the moment compared to initially when I just got into undergrad. You can see that I made some changes almost in every step in my career, in my education and career. But they are somehow connected as well. So when I finished my undergrad, I decided to pursue a master's. And honestly, I was pretty satisfied with what I've learned in automotive engineering, designing cars and building cars. It's fun. I have a lot of skills to learn in that field, and it just, yeah, I guess it's fun. But then when I start exploring what I can study in my master's, I realized that not many universities offer automotive engineering in Australia. And I guess something pushed me to mechatronics is because I don't want to be stuck in the traditional mechanical engineering. I'm not sure whether we have mechanical engineers here in the
you
room,
are,
but
you are biased. Mechanical engineering there right now, they have so many hot topics.
yeah, I
as
know,
well.
I know.
Yes.
But yeah, well, back that time, I'm like, I think mechanical engineering is a very traditional discipline. It's a bit old school compared to mechatronics, so I chose mechatronics, even though I know it's not a easy course to study, because it's interdisciplinary. It combines skills from mechanical engineering, electronics, and computer science. It's a big challenge, but I think it looks really fun, and I'm very glad that I took the challenge. Um, and what's even better is that during my master's degree, I got a chance to actually,
Do the capstone with us.
even before that, there was a subject taught by Danny, and we
Robotics?
got to experience. Oh no, it's mechatronic system design. We
Yeah.
got to experience building a simple prosthetic hand, and that really interested me. And I finally see the value of studying engineering, and especially mechatronics. I can see that I can apply my knowledge to real world problems and really help people. So in my final year of my master's, as Ying mentioned, I chose to do my capstone project in the human robotics lab and working on the prosthetics project. And that also got me to the PhD that I later joined in the same lab, working on the human prosthesis interfaces. Well, things change again. So during my PhD, initially we thought it's just a human prosthetic interface, and PhD means a lot of uncertainties and things happen. And eventually, my research became almost purely brain-computer interface, which is again a very exciting topic to work on. And it kind of helped me develop a lot of skills, especially in data processing, in understanding the human neural system, understanding how to design a like
Experiments.
experiment, how to design interfaces, how to validate ideas, etc. And as I mentioned, during that time, halfway through my PhD, it was COVID. And COVID, well, we've been through the longest lockdown here in Melbourne, and everyone got so bored at home. I was like, yeah, well, it's so boring. I need something new. So as I mentioned, the tram program started, and we were like, oh yeah, why not give it a try and see what happens? So we joined the program. The program helped us in understanding the business side of research translation. We were just researchers and we know nothing about commercialization, and that program really helped us to go step by step, understanding what is important in commercializing a research idea, how we can validate the idea, how we can sell our ideas to others. So then in 2021, we founded the company, but we were still students back that time, getting close to completing our PhDs, busy times, but we were like, yeah, well, especially myself, I can't speak of others. I'm already very non-productive, being stuck at home every day. I'm like, hey, why not just do it and see what happens. Get some distractions from PhD life, and that might bring me to something new. So we kind of tried our best to do our research and work on this little side project. And I'm glad that we did it, because otherwise I won't be here today. And not long after we founded the company, when I was getting close to writing up my thesis, I saw that there's a postdoc opening in Department of Biomedical Engineering. I was a bit hesitant back that time, but Ying was really supportive, and she encouraged me to apply. Just give it a try and see what happens. And I did apply. I thought, well, I wouldn't lose anything. But if I try, if I get it, I can try to experience how a postdoc life is like, and try to get some experience to see how a academia life looks like, and what that career path actually means. So I applied, I got it, luckily. That brought me to almost 3 years working as a postdoc research fellow at Department of Biomedical Engineering, while at the same time spending some time on developing the company. I guess a lot of you here are still PhD students, either looking to pursuing a academia career or joining the industry after you graduate. I wouldn't say too much about how you can or how you should make the choice, but all I can tell you is being a postdoc is very different from being a PhD student. When you are in PhD, you just focus on your project, do your experiments, write your papers. That's all you do. But being a postdoc means, on top of all those research work, you need to think about how to build your profile as a researcher, how to attract funding, how to be more connected to different people in your field, and you'll be engaging more community service activities as well. It's very different from what I thought a postdoc looks like when I was a PhD student. And I'm glad that I had a chance to experience all that. Even though that means I was pretty much burned out during that 3 years, because I have my postdoc full-time work, and also spending some time on research translation, working at Vertetic. But when I look back now, they kind of complement each other in a way that the skills I learned from one job actually helped me in developing my other career. For example, the skills I got from being a postdoc is still helping me today, even though I'm still learning a lot of things, including grant writing. But I also learned a lot about how to manage different collaborators, how to manage a project, some leadership skills, skills in providing mentorship and supervision to junior engineers and researchers, etc. Those are skills I'm still using today at Vertetic in my Chief Research Officer role. And my experience during my research translation journey also helped me in understanding how to really target your research to build impact, real-world impact I'm talking about, to solve real-world problems, to understand why you're actually doing the research, and also in research communication as well, not just to talk to people who are in your field who knows exactly what you're doing, but also to people who are new to the whole engineering and technology, how to get their attention, how to get them understand what you're doing without going into too much technical details. So yeah, I guess when I look back, opportunities popped up throughout the journey. And sometimes they may appear as a pretty risky move, something that's looks like a huge challenge. Like when we first started exploring research translation, none of us know the business side of things. We kind of picked up the knowledge and the skills step by step along the way. It's not easy, but it's a quite a interesting learning curve. You need to change your mindset from the very beginning, from the pure research mindset to a more business-oriented mindset. I think that really helped me in becoming better in both research and doing a business. So yeah, I guess this is an overview of how I came here today, and I guess to sum up, some key takeaways that I want to give to everyone is, firstly, be open-minded. Don't be stuck to your field. You can always start to explore further. It doesn't mean you have to go to a completely different field. It could mean to just take a small step outside your current field and see where that leads you to. And secondly, I hope everyone can embrace the opportunities when they come. Don't be afraid to take some risk. When an opportunity comes, it just means you are opening another door for yourself. And it's never too late to learn. You can always upskill yourself no matter at which career stage you're at. Yep, so that's from me today.
Not too much.
Thank you very much. And there's definitely a lot of opportunities in Melbourne, in Australia, and across the world. And commercialization is definitely being driven home by universities at the moment. Every university has a big push on commercialization, translation. And so, yeah, so that was Dr. Jing. And so finally, now it's question time, and this is a big part of this webinar. And so let me open the floor to questions. If anyone has questions, you can either put it in the chat box or unmute and ask. And so maybe I'll start off while everyone's thinking about questions. More for Professor Tan, because it seems like with Dr. Mu, a lot of the translation and commercialization kind of stem from the boredom during COVID. But is there, and Dr. Mu, feel free to answer afterwards, but is there a particular event that sparked your journey towards commercialization from research? Or would you say it was more a gradual process and this culmination of your strive for that application?
I think commercialization need a lot of time, effort. And I think after we developed our robotic devices with patent, with IP transfer, we had a lot of thinking about whether we should do commercialization ourselves. I think four of us, myself, Danny, Vincent, and Justin, we had a dinner, long dinner. One day on Lygon Street, I can't remember which year. And we decide, okay, how long it will take us to do commercializations, and particularly with a lot of teaching research responsibility, me and Danny, we have to deal with. And also our device would be different from Jing's device, which most likely is it's a software based. Our device was hardware. So in this case, commercialization was very difficult for us because we need ability to do manufacturing as well. So you need to consider the prototype works well in the lab, and it might also work very well when testing in the hospital. But when you consider commercial product, you will consider how to manufacture them and in a very efficient way, because when we build prototype, we don't consider the cost. So the sensor's reliability, we don't care at that time. But when you consider product, it's totally different story. And we feel like we don't have time to do it. So we decided to do the IP transfer to some company. They do have a capacity of doing it. For all the spin-out companies from students, is when they see the value of the product or research outcome, they find already potential customer and they are determined to do it, then we will basically help them to do it. But for me, currently, because of so many different things, I don't have time. I don't have energy to do it. I think Jing is very energetic, so she can do a lot of things simultaneously. I can't. So that's why we always support students to do this. If they are able to or they are willing to, we will definitely support them.
Nice. And then to Jing. So you mentioned a lot of similar skills between research and your current role at Vertetic, but what are maybe 2 or 3 of the most difficult changes or differences between research and being in industry or in a company?
Well, I have to say, now I start to see the 2 different paths more and more similar, in the sense that being a successful academia and being a successful entrepreneur has a lot of things in common. For example, you need to be able to convince other people you're working on a good project, and you need to convince people to put money into your project, and you need to deliver some kind of outcomes. But I guess what really sets them apart is when you're in research, sometimes, actually a lot of times, you don't really care how that's actually implemented in real world, in real applications. All you care is this is new, this is a great idea, it might be useful in the future. I don't know how, but it's a promising technology we are developing. But when you're in business, when you're commercializing a idea, the most important thing is why it matters to the customers, what value it brings to your end user and the stakeholders in the system, in the chain, and who would be happy to pay for your product, for your end device, basically. So that's also a huge challenge to us when we were exploring this research translation opportunity, because we were fully trained to be a researcher. We at the beginning we were questioning, why do we need to care, who is buying this? This is a great device, a great technology, people will buy it. But then along the way, we start to realize, no, this is actually a very important aspect when you are trying to bring a product to the market. If no one is buying it, even though it looks fantastic, it's useless and the business will die. And that is also why I mentioned the Translating Research at Melbourne program. They really helped us, like researchers, to rebuild a business mindset, to understand what is more important when you're translating a research. comparing to just doing a pure research in the lab.
Yeah, and I guess even though the overall similarities, well, might be similar, the overall like skills, but when it comes to details, for example, when you're seeking money, it's not grants, it's now from investors and venture capitals. And when you're building your network or when you're presenting, it's not academics, it's general public, maybe people
Yeah,
who
exactly.
don't really know the academia language. Yeah, so I guess that, and I from my own experience and from students and researchers I see around me, that is probably one of the major hurdles because we're so used to talking in research language, in academic language. And then just with your TGA approval, because that sounds to me like a very big task. How long did that take, if you don't mind sharing? And if you were to do it again, or if you want to share hints with for future for other people, what would you have prepared more or better beforehand to make it a smoother process?
Good question.
Or if there's nothing and it's different every time.
It's well, for those of you who are not working in medical technologies, you might not know how difficult it is to receive TGA approvals. It's a really long process. You need to do a lot of things to be prepared for a TGA submission. In our case, it only took us around 2 years mainly because we registered as a class 1 device, which is the lowest classification, which means it's not invasive, it is not providing any clinical suggestions, not a diagnostic tool. It is just a tool we use in this case that complements to all the other things the doctors are doing or the clinicians are doing. And that is also why we can receive the approval only a few years after we founded the company. In a lot of cases for those companies, especially pharmaceutical companies, this process can take decades.
Yeah.
Because, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm saying the robotic devices we are using in hospital for stroke patient rehab. The product started 2017, and we started work with company, and probably last year they finally got some TGA approval. It took forever because that was more complicated than Jing's product. It's a robotic devices, and you don't want the device to kill any patient. You want extremely safe.
Yeah. So I guess to your second part of the question, like if we are doing it again, how long it takes. We've already shown that we now have 2 products in the Australian market. So the second one took much shorter than the first one, basically because we know how the system works. And if I'm to give a bit of advice on how to be prepared for like a more rapid turnaround, would be to be engaged with those advisors as early as possible to understand the classification of your technology and to understand what you need to do from the very beginning. That could backtrace to when you first start developing the idea, and keep good documentation on all the design and thinking process, because those may become the very important technical documentation files being part of your submission.
Nice, very good advice. And just bearing with the time, looking at the time, maybe one last question for both of you. A lot of researchers, especially students and junior postdocs, are scared to take the leap towards translation and commercialization. They might feel like they're in their own comfort zone doing research. And like you said, Jing, that like taking that step is a risk and your company could fail should you start a company. So what was a motivator for you to do it, to get into translation and to get into commercialization? And like, is it the support? Is it a certain case study or a successful startup that you admire? Anything in your journey?
Honestly, I didn't think too much. But I guess
Just pure
yeah,
braveness.
well, I mean, I guess something motivated me was I'm not that kind of person who want to stay in the same kind of life all the time. I always want to try something new, and explore the possibilities. So when the opportunity came, I was like, yeah, well, it doesn't cost me too much, except it may take a bit of my free time away. I won't lose anything. Well, I will, but not so much if that fails. And I may learn a lot from the process. So I was like, yeah, why not? Right? Why not?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
can I also add on? So one of the reasons we are doing this one is around 60%, more than 16% of amputee, they will abandon their prosthetic devices because they are too difficult to use. And if they abandon this one, it basically means that they always rely on their healthy limb and they never practice the ampute limb, which will cause a lot of complications. And for us, it's very straightforward. We want to solve the problem. We want people to use a prosthetic device. We want to make it easier. So that's for us why we do this project. And it's also motivated from the Woma Trust, which someone is interested working on this project. And that kind of things tell you that you see your work will have value. We really affect humans' life. It's just that they can greatly improve someone's life's quality, and that's why it's motivation. Medical startup is very challenging, but it's also kind of rewarding in the sense that you can directly see that your customer patients are happier.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with what Ying just said. Like one of the reasons I chose to do become an engineer, I should say, is to use my skills to help others. And that's also the part that I really enjoyed like pursuing this engineering career pathway and being a researcher in the medical technology field. It's something really rewarding along the process, especially now commercializing the product. We can actually see it's bringing benefit to end users, to the patients every day. And that is really what kept us moving. It's not easy to do a startup, but when you see the value, when you see that you are helping others and it's actually being used, it's more than everything else.
Yeah, and that's also exactly what the three co-organizers also want to see, to help people. And I think that's the best feeling in the world, really. So with that, we'll end there on the high note. Thank you so much, Professor Tan and Dr. Moore, for joining. And thank you all the attendees for coming in and, just leaving a bit more to that weekend to enjoy. So thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See you.
Bye.